5? Sports Squad is as old as me. 3 more, it'll be older than Sports Squad.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all right.
Our Squadcast.
It's Squadcast, yeah. Squadcast. Yeah.
Let's say Sports Squad's gonna be older than itself.
Yeah. Alright, yeah, it's me, Kelvin, again, coming off the high of the Caps making the Stanley Cup Finals.
I still can't believe. I really still watching that game last night and them seeing the final score be 4-0. I'm like
4-0 was crazy.
I still I'm still in utter disbelief.
Yeah.
And then I became even more in utter disbelief when I saw the ticket prices for the games.
Yeah. I checked too. Yeah. I was looking to go to Game 3.
Yeah, just as a ha-ha to myself,
It's like, if I could get 2 for, somewhat cheap.
And then it was 2 for $600 or something like that. I'm like, I'm for like $300 each, a little over $300. Yeah. I'm like, I could think about that. Not 1 for $720. Yeah. That was the cheapest I saw.
I saw $625.
Okay.
But that for one ticket, and there's not really a bad seat in hockey, but it was
really
literally against the back wall of the arena,
it's against the back wall, on the side where they'd only be shooting on once.
So I thought about that. I was like, that'd be so cool, but it's like when I went up to Boston, that was expensive enough,
right.
And that entire trip wasn't even that much money.
I think I can get a decent view of the game. From my bed, or from a bar that I'm happy to be sitting at,
or a place of gathering.
It's about $700 cheaper, $600 cheaper. So I'll take that.
Yeah. We'll start off with our airing of the grievances, as we normally do now. Mine's a little obscure. It's just something that's been bothering me. Technically, it's sports. It's wrestling related.
Okay.
Basically, I don't know how many. There's the good guys and the bad guys in wrestling, right? That's how they book people. However, there's been a huge problem, especially as of late, of bad guys becoming good and good guys becoming bad organically, if that makes sense.
Okay.
They don't change anything about their character.
Right.
But the audience is just like, hey, we like them now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. There's this guy named Rusev. He came in as a stereotypical Russian bad guy, right? Russia bad, even though it's
Allison Brain Glow.
Oh, is that? I haven't
you
seen
never
Glow
finished
yet.
it.
No, I never even started it.
Get it together.
I've been watching Atlanta.
For 8 months, you've been watching Atlanta.
I've been watching an episode a month. Yeah, so basically, this guy Rusev, one time he came out and he was like, "It's Rusev Day," and went to proceed to beat up someone, right?
Okay.
It was his pump up thing, but it caught on, right? It was supposed to be just a one time thing, that one day was supposed to be Rusev Day, but it's been Rusev Day for 6 months. They have T-shirts and they have merchandise, and they're he has a tag team partner who hypes up the crowd before it comes out, and the crowd just naturally started to like him, even though nothing really changed about him. They're still booking him as this bad guy who insults the audience and cheats a little bit or doesn't have respect for other people, but it's they're still loving him.
Right.
You should just make him a good guy by now. So, and it's happened. That's the biggest one. It happened with the guy Roman Reigns as well. And
yeah. Because I thought he was a bad guy. I thought for a while he was a good guy.
If you were to start watching it, you would think that.
Yeah, because even not watching it, I just assumed. I saw the commercial, him and his daughter doing a little "I'm a little teapot." I'm like, oh, he's a good guy. He's he's a big name guy. He's gonna be the next big good guy that's gonna be there for a long time as a good guy. And then I was watched and I'm like, oh wait, hold up, but he's a bad guy. What's happening here?
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of how Undertaker's always been. I feel like Undertaker's never been necessarily a good guy because he'll fight anybody.
Yeah, but he's Undertaker.
Exactly.
I
like Kane. I feel like Kane went back and forth.
Kane and Big Show.
Big Show's been back and forth a lot.
They said he averaged 1.2 turns in his 20-year career from bad guy to good guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like Mark Henry went back.
Mark Henry, he was
a little bit, not super, not
he
a
was
lot.
More bad guy, but there was that little stint that he was a good guy. Yeah.
Same thing with Booker T. I feel like Booker T had a small spread of a good guy, but he was more bad guy than he was good guy.
He was also in WCW.
Yeah.
And I don't remember much of that. But he was a good guy.
He was at WWE like for a little bit when I first started watching back in like early 2000s.
Yeah, I started watching 06.
Okay.
And he just got full bad guy.
Okay.
So like he started in 2005 kind of like leaning towards it, but he was still like good guy, and then he won King of the Ring and became King Booker.
Oh, okay.
And it just went to his head, and he cheated, and his wife cheated, and he just went full heel from like 06 to 08 or whenever he ended wrestling. Yeah. But yeah, that's basically mine. It's been like one guy. If it happened to one guy, you're like, just make him bad. But it's happened with a lot.
Okay.
And you're just like, really? Like, just just you see what the audience is doing, and they're the ones who give you money. Like, well, now Fox is giving you money, but you hear about that?
Oh, I did see that SmackDown on Fox.
Fox paid like $1 billion.
Did they really?
Yeah, it's insane.
I mean, they realize it's gotta be still a continual growing industry, you know?
Yeah, but it's still
just like watching the Andre the Giant documentary, not realizing that wrestling was that universal, with that spread apart.
It was
as recently as Andre the Giant, because I feel like Andre the Giant wasn't like that long ago, but you're still.
I mean, WrestleMania 3 was 80, 83, 84. Like, so when you think about it,
and he had already been in the grand scope of things, yeah. But and so I mean, it's still a continually growing.
I think they said because I watch a lot of YouTube channels about wrestling, and they said it's been the biggest roster ever, like main event guys. They all have the Cruiserweight show, 205 Live. So it's all the 205 and under weight class. They have NXT, which is their developmental.
Yeah.
Right, so like, and they have their own pay-per-views, network specials, whatever you want to call them. That's a whole other thing. But speaking of that, the WWE Network is a steal. It's $10 a month, and you get literally everything like they've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, even if you just use it for pay-per-views, instead of $50 for a pay-per-view, or $60 for, like, WrestleMania or Rumble, it's now $10.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's like you can watch nothing else, and you're paying $10 for a pay-per-view a month.
That's a hell of a deal right there.
Yeah. That's why I couldn't resist.
Yeah.
Like, last summer, I was like, I'll actually give it a try.
You get to see everything, too.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to pay $50 per pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
You know? Especially if you don't have, like, an actual, like, TV subscription. I feel like that people are realizing that like people aren't like really going, especially like people our age right now, like aren't really going with like traditional television things and anything like that. Like everybody's just kind of like streaming things, and you got Sling TV and Hulu.
I use Hulu and a few people with Sling. And even not even that, just like people with cable are watching more on demand than they are live, because somebody they tried to call out SmackDown this past Tuesday, so 2 days ago from recording, and they said it was the lowest rating it ever been, but it went against the Western Conference game.
Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, and people were like, if you had to watch one of those two things live, like, and Hulu has a deal with WWE that
so
all their shows are up the next day. Yeah, so it's like, okay, they're gonna watch the basketball game.
Yeah, especially with like the basketball game being like the highest rated conference final in like the history of.
Oh, was it the history? I didn't see the exact time. I just saw it in a while.
I know Game 1 was like the highest, was like the most viewed like West like conference final game in like ever, I guess. So you're airing the grievances.
Yeah, just basically the Vince McMahon and Triple H is doing a good job because he has control of the developmental.
Okay.
So he like NXT is him like. But Vince McMahon just needs to be like, I know he's like 73, but like still just like, hey, like these people like him and they don't like the other guy.
Yeah.
Like don't book them the opposite of what they're receiving. Like it's better to go with something than to try to fight it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of grievances I could air about WWE, but that's the main one.
McMahon is trying to do XFL again too.
Yeah, so 2020.
Yeah, is it really 2020? Yeah, it's gonna be. I don't. But like this time, at least he's giving himself more time, because like last time, like
it felt rushed. Yeah,
it was very rushed. Like he did it in like less than a year. Like he put the entire league together in like less than a year. So I don't know if I talked about this, but I think mine is NFL offseason type thing, what they do, like NFL Network in particular.
I think we touched on the draft episode.
About like the draft
recap,
the top 100.
Well, we didn't get into the top 100
because like my thing is like the top 100 like player countdown, and it's just like, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to do that? Because no one's gonna agree with you. Like
That's why you get reactions.
Yeah, it's just like for people to talk about football when there's no football to talk about.
Yeah,
that's all it is. I mean, and it's just like
I didn't even know it was the first time they did it or second time they did it. I didn't know it was for the going into the season. I thought it was top 100 of the past season.
I thought it was the past season.
I thought it was going into the season.
No, it's a past season because Ezekiel Elliott was the number 7th for last. He was like the number 7th player last year. Like his rookie year, from his rookie year, he was ranked 7th. Oh, like from his rookie year, season, after that season, they had the off season, and in that off season, they put him as the 7th best player. Don't ask me, it's weird. I don't. Yeah, and it's just pointless. It's just because everybody's gonna be like, oh, there's no way that this player should be ranked this low. It's just and it's just based off of the season that the team had as a whole. It doesn't matter, if they were still one of the best players in the league, they made the Pro Bowl, they made All-Pro. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's just based off the success that the team had in particular. Case Keenum should not be anywhere close to 100 best players in the NFL. But
I don't think he's top 100 in the NFL.
Case Keenum? Of all the positions?
Where did he rank? Because if it's I would put him between 80 and 100 if you're going off just of last year.
Oh, I think he was in the 50s.
Oh, yeah, that's too high.
50s or 60s.
If you're going off the previous year only.
Yeah, exactly. Not the rest of his career. Where
is that how it worked? How did they? I don't know the merits of the top 100.
Basically, it was. I believe that was just this past year.
Okay, so you only look at I would put Case Keenum in the top 100.
I would put him in the top 100, but not. Yeah.
But like I said, I would put him between 80 and 100.
Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure he was in the 50s or 60s somewhere.
That's too high.
And it's just frustrating because it's just because Case Keenum had a good year, starting off the season, had a good season, and he went deep into the playoffs and everything like that. That's
define deep.
Well, they went to the conference championship game.
Got destroyed.
Well, yeah, but that's still deep in the playoffs. That's deeper than most teams make it.
Yeah, I was thinking because they had home field too, or not home field. They were the 2 seed. Right?
Yeah, they were 2 seed. Yeah,
so they didn't play the first round, and then won on a miracle in the second round. Yeah, and then got blown out of the water in the third round.
Yeah. So it's just
but yeah, back to
frustrating. Yeah, it's look at that. It's the players don't care about it. They don't.
Yeah.
They care about
it doesn't count towards anything. Right?
No, exactly. If I was making that list, I just mess around and make all 32 kickers the top 32 players in the NFL. That's what I would do. Just for the hell of it.
Just
and then make all the punters in the next 33 through 64. Just be petty. Then all the long snappers after that. Until I get to the most obscure, all obscure positions.
Best special teams 4th string linebacker.
Yeah, right. Best gunner to run down the punts. Yeah, that's what I do. Because it's just it doesn't matter what kind of season the player. Not only is it about the players the season the player had, but it's also about the how successful the team was. For example, the Cowboys in this past year they were 9-7. The year before that they were 13-3. So 13-3 they had everybody up there near the top. Ezekiel Elliott was number 7. Zach Martin was in the teens or 20s, and Travis Frederick was up there too. They were all high up there. And then this year Zeke is 54th. Zach Martin.
Zeke didn't have that bad of a year.
He almost had 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah,
in 10 games.
Oh yeah, because he had the suspension.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like he had a bad year. It's just he didn't play 10 games. He didn't play 6 games of the year. Yeah. But it is what it is.
Yeah. It's a lot of rankings. It's just
it's just unnecessary. And I understand why they do it. It's just
so broad too.
Yeah, it's just annoying that they do it. Yeah. Just because it's okay, you want to rank the top 100 players of the past year. Fine, whatever. It's just unnecessary.
Yeah. You know? That's only
like I said. They just do it to talk about football when there's no football to talk about. Yeah. And I understand that, and I understand that.
I understand the network's doing it.
Yeah, and it's hard to field an entire network dedicated to one sport when that one sport isn't played 100% year round. Yeah. You know, there's gonna be a lull. There's gonna be not a lot to talk about. You can only talk about Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski not reporting to OTAs for so long before people are like, all right, what's next? Can only talk about Rob Gronkowski shooting off a gigantic minigun for so long before people are like, okay, why? Okay, why do we care about
I saw the GIF on Reddit, and I moved on.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't need to see any more outside of that, you know. Or who's not reporting to OTAs because of their contract situation, things like that. Like, and it's just, you know, okay, like
a lot of people don't report to OTAs, right? Isn't that
because they're not mandatory? Like, because everyone's like, oh, they're OTAs or organized team activities, but they're not mandatory activities to be at. Like, nobody's getting fined for not going.
Right? Yeah.
Like even half of the mini camps aren't mandatory. Like those are optional mini camps. Just like it's annoying for them to talk about it, and I realize that there's nothing else to talk about, so that's why they do it. But there's nobody else that is like Zach Martin, for instance, for the Cowboys. Like he's still at the facility. Like he's still working out at the facility. He's not like going through like the activity, like the on-field activities and things like that. But he's still at the Cowboys facility, doing work, like working out and everything like that. But like people are like, oh no, he's skipping OTAs. I'm like, he's just skipping the practices. He's still there for like all the weightlifting and conditioning and things like that. He's just not there for the on-field activities. And and of course, like Le'Veon Bell is not going to be there. Of course, he's had a problem with his contract for like the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Like all these players, like I don't know why anybody's shocked. Like you shouldn't be shocked by this. Like it's like they're skipping OTAs. I'm like, yeah. I mean, would you want to risk getting injured for like something that's not mandatory if you're not getting paid what you think you're owed?
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Aaron Donald's been still on his rookie contract. I wouldn't want to sit on my rookie contract if I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I got my rookie contract, nice, that's good money, but like if I'm Aaron Donald, I'm like, I'm the best defensive tackle in the league. Why would I risk myself getting injured, tearing an ACL, and give them reason to not give me the money that I think I deserve?
Especially when it's not like you're missing training camp or the preseasons.
Right, exactly. Or preseason games or anything like that. You're missing...
It's May.
Exactly. You're missing organized team activities. Like, these are more so for the new people that you brought in, whether it's the draft picks or new free agents and things like that. Not about, like, the veterans who've been there for 15 years. Or Tom Brady, who's about to be 41 years old. It's just not for them, But, that's my gripe, I guess.
I mean, that's fair. Alright, so that was airing of the grievances. On to our main topic. Oh, before we get into our main topic, gotta shout out Scott Hansen. I released episode 20 earlier today on the day of recording, and it was our Red Zone episode where we talked about Red Zone and if sports were made for your TV nowadays. And then I tweeted it from the page, which you should follow at SquadCast. And then my personal page, I quoted it, and then I asked Scott Hansen after that. Yeah. And I was like, hey, we would love your opinion. And then I said, my Sundays are the same without you. Which they're not. Yeah. And then, my phone vibrated, and I was like, oh, it's probably, a text or email or something. Right. Then it said, Scott Hansen replied. I was like, whoa, whoa. And then he was like, thanks for the kind words. And then he busted out 4 points to go with it. And he was like, he gives NFL the edge, but with other sports, it's not impossible. And I was like, oh, okay, we just got Scott Hansen's opinion. I was like, he probably didn't listen to it because he probably has stuff to do, but at least he gave his opinion on the topic. That's so cool. So, yeah. So, thanks, Scott Hansen, if you're listening.
Friend of the show now.
Yeah. But yeah, on to our main topic. We are discussing tonight. We are comparing/contrasting if building a team is better going through the draft and homegrown versus buying big free agents. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, I do want to say it's not exclusive. Yeah. We're not saying exclusively draft versus exclusively buy. Right. You're going to buy a free agent here and there. You're going to sign a veteran to deals. You might re-sign a rookie to a 10-year contract. Yeah. Whatever.
But even that's still kind of technically homegrown. You're signing your own in-home talent. Yeah. But say with the Astros last year, like picking up Verlander close to the end of the season.
Like,
that's like a prime example. Like because the rest of the team they built through their farms.
Literally everyone else on
everybody
team.
else.
Yeah, it's Altuve and Correa and Springer. Yeah.
Was Keuchel one of theirs too?
I'm pretty sure he was. Or it might have been like I hate to say it, but a Jake Arrieta situation where he just sucked on another team for like a few years and then got good when he got somewhere else.
And even the Cubs were, for all intents and purposes, like a team like built themselves with Chris Bryant, like Addison Russell,
I remember when they won in 2016, like they showed Anthony Rizzo's like stats because he was a couple years before like Chris Bryant, and just. He was on a 103 loss team like 3 years before that, and then he wins the World Series 3 years later. Like he stuck it out, because he saw what was going on.
Yeah, same thing with the Astros. The Astros are like they were bad for a long time, and now they're like a powerhouse. So it's just like things like that. You got like teams like especially. I mean, and even the Cubs, like the Cubs, like they paid for Chapman, Aroldis Chapman.
Oh yeah, they picked on that.
And that helped him, and he was like, and he pitched very well for them as well. I mean, it's not like you're looking at the Yankees of old who are just paid everybody.
They kind of still are, but because they did sign Chapman again.
Yes, they did.
I don't know how big the deal is, but it was big enough to be a free agent and sign there,
and obviously Stanton as well.
Yeah, and
but like Stanton. To me, Didi Gregorius was through their farm system, right? Was he? No, he wasn't.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean, you got Judge. Sanchez, Gary Sanchez.
Gary Sanchez is,
But then, like, everybody else is
Gregorius was on the Reds for a year, and then the Diamondbacks for 2 years.
Okay.
And then got on the Yankees in 2015.
Okay.
BaseballReference.com. There we go. Fantastic. Most sports have a reference. Baseball just has so many stats, so it's fun. But there is NFL and NHL reference.
Right.
These websites are so great. But yeah, the Verlander is definitely a pickup. Like, just, hey, we have everything else in place. We need one guy either ahead of Keuchel or behind Keuchel to get. And I think that actually shows, like, when you compare, like, the 2010 Phillies who Cliff took less money. He signed for 22 instead of 25 million. Like, and they traded for Halladay the year before. Yeah. And so they traded for Halladay and then signed Cliff Lee. No, was that? No, that was 2012 they got Cliff Lee. Or 2011. 2011. Because they had Halladay a year before. Yeah. And then Roy Oswalt signed with them. And they had Cole Hamels, who was homegrown. And they had a lot of the infielders are homegrown, like Rollins and Utley and Victorino and
Howard.
Yeah. But, like, that shows, like, hey, we spent a lot of money, won, I think, 103 games, signed Hunter Pence as well, traded for Hunter Pence in 2012, and in that span, you would have thought they had, like, 3 or 4 more rings. Yeah. They won in 08, you would think, with all those guys, you would have gotten at least one more.
I just think that...
And it never panned out.
Yeah. I just think it's... I don't know. I just feel like it is better to build the team through the draft. Because I feel like you have a more prolonged... like level of championship, like I feel like it's like a little bit longer run of like a better team.
Because I think with the rookie contracts and then they're there for a little while, you grow to trust your players and they see what's going on. Whereas you sign a guy for like what might happen with Machado this year, he might get traded halfway through as a rental and then sign with another team.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like you get to know the team, you get to know the chemistry.
You really need to trade him so bad.
They need to trade him like yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Because like with the stats that he's putting up, God, they need to trade him because they need to get so many good players in the farm system and picks and stuff like that. They just they need to trade him. I love having him, but like just he's not going to stay. Like we're not going to pay him that much money. No. You're not going to pay him over $300 million because historically that's not what the Orioles have done. Yeah. Which is frustrating because how are you going to win if you don't pay the players? If you don't pay your own players from your own, the ones that you've drafted and you brought up. Like, how do you expect to ever win if you don't pay for the players that you drafted?
Yeah, I think baseball
who have panned out. Like I can understand if if you don't pay for the players that like just don't turn out, like just don't pan out and don't end up
when you're
doing anything
in the minors for 5 or 6 years and come out and you're hitting 250 on the year. Yeah, you got called up because of an injury or something.
Right.
But if you get called up and you're Bryce Harper.
I think historically there has been more success of like drafting a team and building it up. I mean,
we come back to it a few times. The Sixers did
that
perfectly.
Exactly. The Sixers did a good job. It's not necessarily complete yet, but it's still.
It's on the back end.
Yeah, it's close. Yeah. I mean, and that's why you'll see jumps from them winning 26 games last year to them being a 3 seed in the playoffs this year. Like you'll see that because once the pieces start to roll in, and it'll happen, and they'll be even more successful as time goes. Like in basketball, I think it's a little bit easier because you can get players, and one player can make that much more of a difference. Like Joel Embiid can make that much more of a difference. Like last year, like when he got injured and he missed the last half of the season, and he was limited, and he was playing out every other game. Like you could see that, but like him playing a full season this year, and then him and having Ben Simmons come in and play a full season this year as well. Like that's where you see like the big kind of jump from one year to the next. So I mean, and even like a few years of drafting well, like Golden State didn't just become good overnight, Like Golden State, I mean, you're talking like early 2000s back when the Mavericks were on the top of like their game, and they were the 1 seed, and the Golden State Warriors upset them as an 8 seed in the playoffs. And that was back when it was well before they had Stephen Curry. It was back in the Baron Davis days. Who else played for them? I think it was Matt Barnes that played for him over there too. So like that was the Don Nelson days. So like that was a long time ago. And then they had like Monte Ellis that they had. And then just like getting the picks, and then not even having tremendously like high picks. Like Stephen Curry, I think was the 7th or 8th pick, so he wasn't like a very high pick. Klay Thompson, I think, was at the tail end of the lottery too. Draymond Green was the 2nd round pick. I think he was the 38th pick in the draft.
He came up to. Yeah, he was drafted by the Warriors.
He was drafted by the Warriors.
I thought he was on another team.
So like those are 3 of your all stars right there.
Yeah,
that are, like,
and that's the core. Like Durant signed because of that. Right. It wasn't let's get him to get other people.
No, exactly. They already had the core team. Yeah. They saw it. They decided we like him. We like him as our small forward better than the guy that we drafted a few years ago in Harrison Barnes. And they did. I mean, and obviously, I would take anybody else in the league would take Kevin Durant over Harrison Barnes too. So that's why it's like, and like obviously the addition of Kevin Durant put him on the next level. And then a lot of people are going to be mad about that, and like hate the entire team as a whole because they believe that they like paid for this team. Like no, they built this team up. Like you didn't draft Andre Iguodala, but he came in later. He was a nice little veteran, like a 6th man that you can put on, like you can take off the bench as well. I mean, not only that, but they continue to draft well, even though they have late picks in the draft now too. I mean, they picked up Jordan Bell, who was like one of the best players in the Final Four for Oregon a couple years ago.
Oregon made the Final Four.
Yeah, exactly. He like led the team.
Aren't they like the 1 seed?
They were the 3 seed. I think they were 2 or 3 seeds.
Because my roommate at the time was a huge Oregon fan.
Yeah. They were a good team.
And I remember they were like so high up, and as soon as they released that, I was like, "Hey, like, you see Oregon's like high." Like,
yeah, they were a good team all season long because they had that Dylan Brooks kid who I think plays for Memphis right now. But yeah, I mean Jordan Bell, who's like another 2nd round pick that they got. That wasn't even their pick. They got that from the Chicago Bulls for cash considerations. So
gotta love that trade.
Yeah, gotta love that trade. I mean, and he's provided like good quality minutes off the bench for him too. As like a good rebounder, solid defender. So like they continue to draft well, and they continue to draft and build up a team to be formidable. It's not just okay, we have 4 all-stars on a team and we can just beat everybody just doing that. I mean, they obviously got to take a rest at some point. So like the fact that they were still able to draft like solid quality backups and like put another good team together. So it's not like I'm not saying you have. I think you need to take a little bit more from both sides as far as building a team to the draft and also paying for some people, because it's tough to just win without
you're always
just
your
draft
that
picks and no additional help.
But you look at I was just thinking of someone. The Thunder.
Yeah.
You know, they had Durant and Westbrook and Harden. I don't know if they all were drafted by the.
No, yeah, they were all. Well, technically,
Sonics
/ Thunder. Yeah.
But yeah, and you have all three of them.
And Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka.
Oh yeah,
was
they
drafted.
did have Ibaka.
Yes.
Yeah. And they only made it to one finals, right?
They only made it to one final. Yeah.
So it was kind of like.
And then Harden left after that.
Yeah.
After that year.
So that's one of the cases where you do everything you can.
Yeah.
That's completely homegrown.
Yeah.
I'm sure they signed a veteran here and there or something for
but
the
they
bench.
Still didn't really have a lot.
They
had those dudes. Dudes that they drafted.
You have three of the arguably top 10, maybe top 15.
I'd probably say top 10.
Yeah, on your team, and then you have Ibaka.
Probably get close to top 5, honestly. Maybe. Between Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. Yeah.
And they didn't win.
Exactly. They made it. I mean, and they were still young too.
I think that's the exception to the rule, though.
And
for our argument.
And they broke that team apart too quickly. I mean,
that team blew up. Was Harden traded, or was he a free agent and just signed somewhere else?
They traded.
I thought he got traded
because they wanted to pay Ibaka over Harden. So I think that's what I think that's what they ended up doing, and then they just traded James Harden to the Rockets, obviously, for Jeremy Lamb and Kevin Martin.
Oh yeah, those guys.
Yeah. Get a lot of. But I mean, like,
should have gotten cash considerations.
Yeah, and then you also see teams, possibly the worst NBA trade in the history of the league was Brooklyn Nets trading for Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett.
Oh yeah,
from the Celtics.
Yeah,
and trading away all those first round picks because they're still coughing up first round picks.
Yeah, that's the thing. That was how I don't know if it was Brad Stevens or the GM or whoever, but they drafted so many people, and now they're one game away from the finals.
Yeah,
so
who's there?
It all panned out.
Who's there, the GM guy over there? Danny Ainge, because he got all those picks, and he was able to get Tatum. He was able to get Jaylen Brown. So they got a lot for it, and then the Brooklyn Nets got 2 old veterans,
right? Yeah,
and Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce, and then they also put Jason Terry, who was also an old veteran, in that their new big three. I'm like, for what? A half a season? What all the knees break down? And I don't think they ever made it. They never made it as a 4 seed, more better than a 4 seed.
Oh, then.
And then now they're still bad. I mean, and they're still not getting picks. Their first round pick this year, Cleveland has.
Yeah.
Because Cleveland traded, because it was Boston's pick, and then it was part of the Kyrie Irving trade.
That's crazy when you draw back trades and draft picks, and
you
go back 3 or 4 years, and you're because of this person
who started off where too. Andrew Wiggins was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he was immediately traded for Kevin Love to the Timberwolves.
Yeah, Kevin Love did play on the Timberwolves.
So he started his career. He used to be a double machine over there.
Oh yeah, didn't he set the record?
He I think he did for most consecutive double doubles.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and now he's a laughing stock kind of. I mean, people he can shoot the threes, can stretch the floor, he can average a double double and everything like that. Number 3 option.
Yeah.
Not too much. But
that was the thing with a little bit on the Eagles too, how they didn't trade for Mariota and had their draft picks, and then a few trades here and there, and
but they did a good job of trading for certain things, trading for Jay in the middle of the season,
it was this past season was definitely a mix of signing.
And I think it's better than better at how you guys did it, how the Eagles did it more recently than when they had like a few years ago when they had the quote unquote dream team. You know, with Nnamdi Asomugha and Babin and Trent. Oh, well, they already had Trent Cole on the roster.
Yeah,
but
Trent Cole, Colin Jenkins they signed.
Colin Jenkins, that's right.
Vince Young. And there was a lot. Asante Samuel was on that team too.
Asante Samuel was on that team. Wow,
you think you have Asante Samuel and Asomugha on opposite corners? Like, how do you get beat deep? Yeah, and then you find out Asomugha is not that good. Yeah, because he was on 6 and 10 Oakland
and nobody was paying attention to Oakland back then.
Yeah. So, that was bad.
He'll still take his celebrity actress wife.
Right. When was it Madden in 06 or 07, one of the early ones, I did like a create a player and then I got drafted by the Raiders. So like, I was a running back, so you play your snaps on offense, but on defense you're playing like a regular game, and that's how I figured out who Asomugha is. I would always play as a corner. I just liked running with the lead receiver, and then I was like, oh, all right, well, I'm pretty good with him. And then I found out he's actually a big name. They're like, Eagles got him. It's a big signing. He actually was better than Darrelle Revis.
Right. You remember when that was a big...
Yeah. And then also look at what happens with the Seahawks, too. That was kind of like, they no longer have most of that core team that got them to the Super Bowl.
And that was all drafted, too.
Yeah.
They drafted
Sherman.
Yeah. They drafted him in the 5th round. They drafted Cam Chancellor. They drafted Earl Thomas. They drafted KJ Wright.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson, obviously. Doug Baldwin. They drafted a lot of those players. I don't think that they drafted Michael Bennett because I think they got him from Tampa.
Oh, maybe.
I think he played for Tampa.
And he's now in the Eagles.
Yes. So I mean, they definitely
they did win. Like, it's hard to say that it just it worked for a short amount of time, So now
they won the 2 Super Bowls. Teams. I would say they won the 1 Super Bowl, but
should have won 2.
Yeah, they should have won 2. I mean, even like then, like I said, but you need.
Did they draft Marshawn too?
No, the Buffalo Bills drafted Marshawn. Yeah,
because I know he got like famous in Seattle.
He wasn't sure where he was. I know he was a first round draft pick too. Yeah. I know that he was an early first round draft pick too, if I'm not mistaken, from Cal. Yeah, for the most part.
Wait, was that the Cal team that was like? Did he play with like Aaron Rodgers and?
I do not know.
Deshaun
Jackson. I do
like,
not know.
I think there was one Cal team where you look at it and you're like,
how did you lose ever?
Yeah, like,
and I feel like
I forget what year it was.
Though, if you look at
Rodgers might have been before that.
If you look at a lot of like LSU's teams, like you look at them, like, how did you ever lose? Like like Jeremy Hill, like Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Tyrann Mathieu, like all in the same team. Like, how did you ever lose a game?
Yeah. Played Alabama. That's what happened. Played Alabama twice one year.
That was the one that they played him in the championship game.
Yeah, but you do look at it because I remember. I think it was when I found out Rodgers went to Cal. Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. When I found out and I did some research, I was like, oh, this was a good program. Yeah. Like a lot of people came out of Cal. Yeah. Like of all teams to come out of. Like you have USC and UCLA and
all those West Coast teams. Yeah,
and you're like, oh.
Huh. Cal. Huh. Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. So.
Even Stanford's become more of a powerhouse recently. Yeah. Like developing and making NFL talent.
With Luck and who was their tight end?
Which one? Levine Toilolo. Probably. I don't know. Austin Hooper. They both played for the Falcons now. Christian McCaffrey. Not the tight end, but I knew it was someone. Richard Sherman. He was Stanford, yeah. I remember the biggest thing was when they won the NFC conference. Oh, when he was talking to Aaron Andrews? Yeah. Aaron Andrews?
Was that the year they won or the year they... I want to say it was the year they won.
I believe it was the year they won.
Yeah, because I was at Towson when that happened.
Yeah.
That was my first year at Towson, and there was this whole outrage, and I was like, "You just made it to the Super Bowl. Of course, it's gonna be loud."
Right, exactly.
It's all emotion.
Excited.
Yeah. You can't judge him off of that 10-second clip.
He's so unintelligent. And everything. I'm like, actually, he graduated summa cum laude from Stanford, but whatever. You can call him uneducated.
Yeah. I think. For the most part, though, drafting
and building your team. Yeah, and homegrown talent is the way to go. Like I said, with the exception of like a few. I mean,
even like just to touch on hockey a little bit because we try to cover everything.
Yeah,
the Blackhawks. You know, they had Taves and Kane.
There you go.
Caves. And then they had Patrick Sharp for a couple of years.
Okay, yeah.
And I think their goalie, Crawford, Corey Crawford, I think he was drafted too. So that was a typical they were bad for a little while and then they're bad again. But like
the good old Capitals right now, they're like it's all like for the most part that's homegrown. I mean. You're getting Kuznetsov, obviously Alexander Ovechkin,
Ovi and Holtby,
Backstrom. I think.
Oh yeah, Backstrom.
The only big name player that they got from somebody else is TJ Oshie.
Yeah, he was on the Blues for a little while.
Yep.
He was that was that crazy shootout in Sochi in the Olympics where he ended up shooting like 6 or 7 times.
Yep.
Because the Olympic rule is different. It's not. It's like in the NHL, you go down your order.
Yeah.
And everybody has to go before next. Most of the time, it's done in like 4 or 5 rounds, so like it doesn't matter.
Right.
But that's the way it goes if it does go that long. But Olympics are just like as long as you don't go twice in a row or something like that. So Oshie just kept going down. I don't know the exact rule. Like don't quote me on that rule, but I know it's different, and that's why Oshie was able to do what he did.
But yeah, I mean, like for the most part, like I said, like for the most part, you are able to see like more success from teams that are homegrown.
Definitely patience.
Yes, because like I said, like you know, like not to like continue to use the 76ers.
It's such a good model to show.
It is like just like trust the process, believe in the process. Like obviously, I mean they fired Hinkie before like his full plan could come into fruition. With the 76ers, but like it ended up working out for them.
Yeah, like
it's like they they knew it wasn't going to be pretty.
It's Colangelo, right?
Jerry Colangelo.
I think it's him. Brian Colangelo. Brian. Yeah.
But like you know, they knew they told people like, hey, we're going to be losing a lot. Basically, we're going to tank. We don't have the talented team.
Yeah, like we're doing this on purpose.
Yeah,
to build for the future.
But it's just like the optics of it, just like. You're going to lose on purpose, but the objective is to win. Like, and
you're going to lose on purpose in a sport that prevents you from losing on purpose for the lottery. Like, you can't, once you get to, 25% in the lottery?
Something like that.
Then you can't get any higher than that. So, even if you lose every game.
So, they were never guaranteed the first overall pick.
Yeah. So.
I mean, they had the best chances, but, I mean, they were still never guaranteed.
And even them, it's kind of crazy that they traded away homegrown talent.
Yeah.
Like Carter Williams and what's his name? Noel and Okafor.
Did they have Alfred Payton?
Who?
Alfred Payton.
Oh, maybe.
I think.
Who won Evan Turner?
Oh, yeah.
For a little bit.
Evan Turner, yeah. He was like a high pick. He was like the 3rd overall pick or something like that.
He was,
Ohio State. He was like the 2nd or 3rd overall pick in the draft.
Yeah. And then they got everybody else, It's kind of crazy. But I mean, like you said, you go back to it every time you talk about the draft. Where like growing talent and stuff. Because like, look how it worked out.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't not go back to it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you have enough talent on your roster, if you build up a good team to get enough talent on your roster, then people are gonna want to play for you. Like those bigger name free agents are gonna want to come play for you. Like that's how they were able to land a JJ Redick. You know, so you're not gonna be able to land you could try and say like, oh yeah, we can get this free agent if we continue like nobody's gonna want to go and play for that kind of losing organization unless they have a draw to come there. So like now you have Joel Embiid, you have Ben Simmons, you have hopefully a healthier Markelle Fultz next year. You have Dario Saric. Like you have a good young core, and it's just like, well, who else wants to play for it? Like who else wants to come here and like play for this? Because I can't imagine why somebody like a Kawhi Leonard wouldn't want to go play for them. You know, like it's a young team. He doesn't have to be the number one main guy. He doesn't have to he doesn't need to show his like lack of personality because he's already got Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid that are going to display their personality.
Yeah.
So that's where the draw is going to come in. Like, people want to play with Joel Embiid. People want to play with Ben Simmons because they're young and they're talented.
Just before we go on, I just want to bring up, I think the one time where we're buying or / trading for big names was the 09 Yankees. I think that was the one year.
Yeah.
They traded for Sabathia, and they had A-Rod. They bought A-Rod a few years ago, and they had Andy Pettit.
I guess you could kind of say like the Miami Heat, like bringing in LeBron and Chris Bosh.
Yeah.
Even like the Boston Celtics bringing in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett. Like those are like
like it's not one or the other.
Yeah.
And there are times where
it's
sometimes
a little
it
bit
works
of both.
out.
I mean, obviously you already had Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Mario Chalmers.
Yeah. So,
for as much credit as you want to give Mario Chalmers.
But if I was a GM and for some reason they're like, hey, you can either use this money, you have all the money in the world, you can either use it for drafts and or bringing people up through your system, or you just buy all the free agents you want, I would go, with the homegrown guys.
Yeah. I would prefer that, yeah. So you'll need to bring in a little bit of talent, but I'd prefer to
get everybody together.
Yeah, exactly.
I always think that
because those are all on your contract. Those are your own money and everything like that.
So I always think it's bad. I think it's an intangible we might talk about in another episode, but just having a chemistry with guys. If you have a core, it helps.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to have as much of a chemistry if you just start plucking plays people away. And look at Oklahoma City Thunder this year. I mean, they had no chemistry when it came to being on the court, and that's why they lost in the first round because they have three players that all play the same game. Three players are all play iso ball most times that don't look to pass out of certain situations and things like that. So if one starts to get playing hero ball, then the other two just what am I doing here? And that's why they're not going to continue to not have success. I mean, they're going to lose Paul George. He's probably going to go to the Lakers.
Yeah, he's going to leave. And
I think Carmelo Anthony's going to stay with them, or going to stay with them because he'd be a fool to opt out of that money.
Yeah, I thought that was a report last week or something. He doesn't. He's resisting.
Yeah,
the Thunder were shopping him, and he was telling them no.
Yeah, because
I don't know how much. I don't know if he has no trade or not. But
yeah, he still. I believe he still does have a no trade clause.
Yeah.
But it's interesting.
Yeah. All right, so week in review. We have, obviously, the Stanley Cup is set. This will probably be released right around game 1 or 2. So somebody will have won by the time this is released. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
So you might be listening to this after game 1 or possibly game 2. But yeah, Vegas and Caps. I think we were talking about this last night in our pre-production meeting. That just the year has just been so crazy, and of course it's going to be Ovechkin's first year in the finals versus Vegas, who it's kind of hard not to want them to win just because it'd be so crazy to see that.
Expansion team win his first year of existence.
Yeah,
that's it's never been seen before.
Yeah, so someone in my position, I'm 55 because I do want to see OV win. So I'm 55% OV, 45% Vegas.
Yeah.
Just because as a Flyers fan, who at this point of the playoffs, even when the playoffs started, I was they snuck in, they're not going to go far, and then they got destroyed. I was but anyway,
still a couple games there.
Yeah, it did go 6, but yeah. So we have that. I think that'll be a good series. I think it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I think if Holtby does what he did in Game 6 and 7, it'll be hard for Vegas.
It's gonna be tough.
It's Holtby versus Fleury. So I saw on Reddit quite a few people commented. First of all, on Reddit, there are live threads and post game threads for every game.
Yeah.
Right. So it was the post game thread for last night's game, and somebody was the Caps finally beat the Penguins, and then they make it to the finals only to face Fleury again. Like, it's like this is the final boss. Like, yeah. So that's a good matchup.
Yeah, that's gonna be a great matchup. I think I'm excited.
Yeah.
You know, obviously growing up in Las Vegas, like, and like seeing the fact that they do have like an actual like major sports franchise in there, and they're actually good,
and they came from nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. And
they weren't even like snuck in. They won their division.
Yeah,
like,
they were one of like they had like the second best record.
Yeah,
second or third.
They had the best record for a while.
Yeah,
and then I think we talked about last episode. The Predators ended up having.
They ended up getting the Hart Trophy.
Yeah,
I think
President's Trophy.
I'm the President's Trophy. Yeah, that's right. I think it was like. I think the Hart's Trophy I think is like
Hart's MVP.
MVP, yeah.
Then the Conn Smythe is playoff MVP.
Okay.
And then the two conference trophies, which last night was Prince of Wales for the Eastern Conference. It's a Prince of Wales trophy that you're not supposed to touch, but both teams touch their trophies.
No
so
big
like,
deal, it's fine.
Yeah. it's like superstition that you're not supposed to, but I was like, well, both teams touched it, so what's gonna happen now?
We've seen a trophy like that in a Washington.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, let Ovi be Ovi.
So, yeah, it's exciting to see it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so growing up in Las Vegas, like, you know, and then like obviously like being a fan of the Capitals for as long as I've been a fan. I mean, because they're like basically a team like got me into got me into hockey, like actually watching hockey and things like that. So like it's exciting to see, you know, because it's like it's weird having. For me, it's weird having a team that I like that's this close to me be this successful. You know? So, like, because, you know, I like, even when, like, the Ravens won the Super Bowl in 2012, I'm like, I don't really care for the Ravens. So, like, it didn't affect me. And I was also living in Ohio at the time. So, that just wasn't close to me either. So, it's just, like, being a fan of a team that's this close, it's exciting. It's like, the idea is like, oh, what if they do win? Would I be able to like request off work to get like for the parade and everything like that? Like that's like these are the things that are going through my mind, you know. Yeah. So it's just like it's exciting. It's a different kind of a feel and a different kind of vibe right now. So
that was a crazy like as an Eagles fan that I mean I had the 08 World Series as for the Phillies, right? But like the Super Bowl when I legitimately thought Brady was gonna. He had the ball with 2 minutes left. Yeah. I was like,
everybody's
great.
Like,
I was great. And then it was like 3 seconds of me just like staring at the TV. Yeah. And like, oh crap, we just won.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's like that's like that kind of wow factor moment.
Like that was the moment where I was like, oh man, like the entire game was just like, but yeah, it's. Especially here, it'd be cool because nothing happened.
Nothing. I mean,
even since I've been here,
this is the first time that anybody
for 4 years now. So
it's been 20 years since the Capitals have been this far in the playoffs. Like any DC sports franchise has been this far in the playoffs. So it's like a different feeling. And
they had like the second or third longest drought as a city. Yeah. Like none of the major teams made the championship. Yeah.
I mean, everybody was expecting the Nationals to be it this year.
I made a face.
Yes. What else happened in sports this week?
The NFL.
Oh my god, the NFL doesn't know what the hell they're doing.
That is the stupidest rule. And
they're gonna fine the teams.
They're gonna fine, and then but they also tried to like almost retcon it because they're like, well, if you kneel, you're gonna get fined, but you don't have to be out. Like that's okay. I'm like, well, okay.
How's that any better?
Yeah.
It's like,
okay, I'm just gonna stay in there.
Like, what's to stop them from kneeling out in the tunnel just so like the cameras can't see them? Is that like, it's just like the optics of it? Like that's what it's like. It's just
it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. It is baffling to see how bad they are. Yeah, at this. How bad the NFL continues to be when it comes to this topic.
Yeah,
like the NBA has no problems. Like the NBA has like and it's all because of demographic. Like the demographic breakdown of like who watches what. Like you're looking at the NBA where most of its fan base is, you know, people that are like 15 to 30 years old. So more progressive thinking, kind of younger individuals that are watching it. So like even if they were to take kneels for the anthem or whatever, like there wouldn't be the kind of outrage within the fan base as there is in the NFL, where the NFL fan base is more 50 to 60-year-old like white males, which is the difference, and and they're gonna have a bigger issue with it, and it's gonna affect like everything as far as like the money and everything like that. But I mean, you look at the two main guys that are still like that aren't kneeling in that were the big kneelers. Neither one of them are in the NFL right now, between Kaepernick and Eric Reid.
But I was reading a thing Crossing Broad said like Malcolm Jenkins put his fist in the air most of the time. Yeah. So like you're only gonna find kneeling. Yeah. Like you either have to, not that they should at all. I don't think like that's the whole point of having that right. But like if you were to punish it, you can't just be like only if you do this one specific thing are gonna find you.
Yeah, exactly. Like
you don't have to come out. You could still put your fist in the air. Yeah. You could still link arms.
Like, can they sit? Are they allowed to sit? Because if you just limit the kneeling, then what's to say?
There's always going to be a way around it.
Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be some sort of loophole around what their initial to still get their message out. I mean, it's as simple as that. That's gonna have they're gonna find ways.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. And and the idea that they continue to just kneel and protest at the flag and anthem is still asinine. It's completely asinine.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about the protests, they know that who started it. Obviously started with Kaepernick. It started with the fact that he was initially sitting down. Nobody noticed.
That's the biggest thing that gets me is that
nobody knows.
They were like, he's doing it for attention. I was like, there was one grainy camera that happened to catch him the first time he did it. Like, he obviously wasn't doing it for attention. No, it was a preseason game.
Yeah, exactly.
And some guy with the camera in the 300 level happened to notice and got that one brief shot of him.
Yeah. And then and then he and then she started sitting down, and then they were and then he went and talked to Nate Boyer, who's a former Green Beret, who was a long snapper for Texas, and he's like, hey, I don't think that sitting down is the best course of action, so let's work together and we'll figure this out. And they figured out the kneeling. So it's not like a disrespect to the troops, because a former troop Green Beret literally told him hey, if you want to do this, obviously I don't necessarily support your ideals about this. I support the idea that you're kneeling during the anthem and for the flag or whatever. But at the same time, I understand I understand what your cause is. I understand what you're trying to protest. And that's where people are like, oh no, he's just protesting the anthem. No, well, I mean, okay.
If you're protesting the anthem, you wouldn't be out there for the anthem.
Right? Exactly. You wouldn't. You would be gone. You wouldn't. Yeah. You'd be over there in the concession stand eating a hot dog.
So it's and
it's just it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Just
they're almost making problems on purpose.
They are, and then but not only that, but they continue to ignore the real problems that are happening. They'll be so focused in on oh hey, he's kneeling during the national anthem. He's got his fist up during the national anthem. But then oh CTE, no, it doesn't exist. Yeah, right. Or what happened with the Washington football franchise and their cheerleaders and having they were they were down in somewhere in Mexico or something like that for their photo shoot or whatever, and they had some of the season ticket owner type thing, some of the wealthier guys that were around their football franchise, around Washington's football team, they were around for all the photo shoots, all the cheerleaders photo shoots, and seeing all the topless shoots and everything like that, and they all the people who were when all the cheerleaders went down to Mexico or wherever, I think it was Mexico or Cancun or something like that. They took all their passports and things like that. It was it's very shady. They just continue to sweep things like that underneath the rug, and then only address and only really want to talk about these things that they want to call important. Kneeling, because because these things mess with their money. The idea of CTE, that's not messing with their money currently, so they're not worried about it. The idea of somebody kneeling, that's gonna mess with their money, because that's not gonna, because less people are gonna watch, because they know what their fan base demographic is. So they think less people are gonna watch because of that, and that's gonna take a hit on all of their all their advertisers. And it already has.
That's what it is. It all comes down to money.
I mean, because they had they had to do a mutual a mutual parting of the ways with them and Papa John's, and that's why they're now Pizza Hut.
I think it's Pizza Hut.
Yeah. And then I think if you look at even Malcolm Jenkins, like Malcolm Jenkins stopped doing the fist raise in the middle of the season because he himself owns a good amount of Papa John's. Like I think he owned like something like 35 different establishments. And he was like I was messing with his money because they were because Papa John's was starting to pull like their advertising and things like that. So and that hurts your money at the end of the day. So it's just astonishing how bad the NFL is when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah, they're so bad with PR and
like the NBA, like they made it a rule to not kneel during the anthem themselves as well, but they also talked with the union. They talked with the players' union. They talked with the players. They had an open dialogue.
I see a lot of like players wear like T-shirts with like Black Lives Matter or something else going on that like isn't being covered as much, like, but they're wearing a T-shirt during warm-ups.
Yeah,
and I mean, like nothing happens out of it. It just gets talked about in ESPN for endless hours. Like, but if you were to do that in the NFL, you're come out wearing like a T-shirt or practice jersey with for something like activist or and like the NFL would be all over you. Like,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like, and it's because if you look and here's the thing, if you look at the demographic of the players in the league, you'll look and you'll see that in both the NBA and the NFL, it's a predominantly black league. So, and if they're like protesting against police brutality and things like that, you look at what happened to Sterling Brown, who plays for the Bucks. This he got pulled over or something like that. They said he was parked in a handicap spot, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry about that. I was just like in and out and everything like that." And he's being real compliant with the police officers. They still ended up tasing him. Like they still ended up tasing.
That's absurd. Yeah.
And like assaulting him, and like you gotta look at like what a lot of owners don't understand is, especially NFL owners, like this can happen to your players. So if this is happening to your players and they're getting assaulted and they're getting beat up by the police officer, and that forces them to put out a lesser product on the field, then that's not only messing with your money, but that's affecting their money. That's affecting the entire organization's money, because they're not going to win. People are going to want to go and see a losing program. So I mean, so you're just not. It's just not a good look, is what it is. But like I said, they'll continue to get these things wrong, and Goodell will continue to get things wrong.
Somehow Goodell is still
he'll continue to get booed every time he walks out on stage of the NFL draft.
Yeah, he's become the new Gary Bettman.
Yeah, and it's and you'll see you see the difference between like how Goodell's received versus how Adam Silver, the commissioner, is received.
Or even even Bud Selig was well received from the players.
Because Adam Silver doesn't he's very forward thinking. Like he was very forward thinking on a lot of things. I mean, like as far as like weed in the NBA, like weed and not like drug testing, like marijuana and things like that. I mean, like the NFL is the only team, like the only league that drug tests for marijuana, for things like marijuana. The only league. And then they'll still suspend players, even though it's legal in
most states now.
In most states, in one form of what, in another was just like recreational or medical.
Even recreational has become
even recreational. I mean, you have two different teams that have two different teams that have legal marijuana in their states that are like recreational, between the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. It's legal there.
Yeah.
So I mean.
Like, I'm a fan of. I shouldn't say a fan. That's not the right word. But my mindset when it comes to that is like, as long as it doesn't affect your work, like if it's legal, and like as long as you don't show up to work like super high and like making a negative impact on the team, like you shouldn't be punished for it.
Right.
And even in that case, it shouldn't be a drug test. It should be hey, your behavior is bad. Yeah. And we're going to punish you for that. Like not for having a legal drug.
Because like my thing is like, how is it any worse than that? Like if a player's like is trying to do something for pain management, how is like marijuana any worse than the prescription drugs they're going to be taking? The stronger prescription drugs that they're going to be taking that are more addictive. how does that make sense to you? Like, would you much rather have your players addicted to prescription drugs after the league or smoke marijuana? I'd prefer marijuana.
Yeah. No matter what your stance is on marijuana, you have to agree with that. Like, it's obviously not as bad as most of the stuff they're doing anyway. Yeah. Like,
and not only that, but it helps with the mind. It helps things along that with, especially when you have players that are like former players that are not in a good place after
when you have former players dying at 40 years old. Yeah. Like,
or committing suicide or like doing something along those lines. I mean, because of CTE, and it's like these things, like this thing will help you. Like it'll help. And like, I don't understand how they don't see it. Like how like why they still have such a negative stigma behind it. But it's like they'll continue to get it wrong. Even like they'll continue to be way behind the times when it comes to everything else.
Yeah, like even at like it's kind of full circle, unintended full circle. But even WWE, which changed their name to entertainment to avoid drug testing, like sports. They had a huge scandal in the 90s, and then Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit happened within a 2-year span, and both of them were linked to steroids. Yeah. And then they got, they slammed down on their wellness policy, and it basically, I think it's 2 or 3 strikes. Like, you're done. Yeah. Like, you're released. Like, you get a 30-day suspension for your first time, and then I think most of the time they end up being released anyway after a second time. Yeah. Because, you're not part of the company for 60 or 90 days. Like, yeah. Good luck getting back on track, and you already have 2 on your belt. Like, right. So, a lot of it is that, yeah. So, they released the guy. Well, there's some domestic stuff, too, as well. But apparently drugs were involved. And the running joke with them is that, like, when they get fired, they say, like, good luck on your future endeavors. Yeah. Or, like, we wish you well on your future endeavors, just as a, like, hey, you're no longer with us, but, like, hey, like, hopefully something pans out. Right. With the guy, he got released in January. He was the cruiserweight champ at the time, right? And they didn't say anything. They're like, he's been released. And that was their statement. Like, so even when it comes to that, like...
It's hardcore right there.
Yeah. But the NFL is still like, oh, yeah, like... So let's punish you for weed.
Yeah, it's just so far behind the times. It's frustrating to watch because they have this stigma and this belief that they're still going to be number one no matter what. And and to this point, it's hard to argue against that. Yeah, it's hard to argue against that. But at the end of the day, like basketball continues to grow at like a very high.
Basketball's still growing
high rate. Baseball still, regionally baseball is bigger, but it's not as big like nationally.
It's still huge in Japan and the Caribbean.
Yeah, obviously, like internationally, it's pretty big as well. Obviously, like soccer's got top billing over everybody else in the world.
In the world, yeah, and it just.
When they start to see like things like this, like especially once the demographic shifts. Once the demographic shifts toward, like, more so to, like, our age group and things like that, and it's not the middle-aged white male. It's, like, not the baby boomer, white guy anymore, like...
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
It's going to be tough because they're so far behind, and there's, like... And our demographic is really going to get, like, put the wind in the sails and kind of try and promote the change. And it's only a matter of time before that happens, Only a matter of time. But.
Yeah, once you get more, what's his name? The Rams coach. McVay. I was thinking McAvoy, but yeah, McVay.
Close enough.
Yeah. Who's only what, like 31?
31, yeah.
Yeah. So if you get more of those young
young progressive, like forward-minded. But like the thing that's going to be tough with the ownership.
Because good luck getting into it. Like Robert Kraft is going to own the Patriots, or a member of his family will.
Right, exactly. Same thing with Jerry Jones. Like Jerry Jones and his family's going to own it for a long time. I mean, look at Bob McNair. Bob McNair is like the worst. The Houston Texans owner. Yeah. Because he was the one who made the comment about about the players kneeling and everything like that, and he was like, don't want to let the inmates run the asylum or whatever. Yeah. And then, he apologized, and then he came back, a couple months ago, and was like, oh, yeah, the only thing I regret is, me actually apologizing. It's like, how do you own a football franchise where most of your team is African-American? How do you do that? And be, that blatantly racist? I don't understand it. But, you know, it is what it is.
I don't know if he did, but that sounds like a typical person who'll be like, well, it wasn't specifically about race. Like,
yeah, and then also, like, back up Jerry Richardson, who was the owner of the Panthers, who, like, was basically forced out of ownership because of, you know, sexual assault allegations and, you know, things like that. And he's like, oh, no, I know him. He's a good guy. I'm like, how can you say this about one person, but then also say, like, something about, like, your own players? Like, it's just, it's ridiculous. We could talk about this all night, but...
yeah, no, that was the weekend review.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we only covered 2 things overall, but... trying to think if anything else happened, but...
LeBron's human, we found out. We found out LeBron James is human.
Oh, yeah. He down 3-2.
Yeah. I mean...
he's playing, like, 48 minutes a game,
basically.
Right?
He's basically playing the entire game.
You see that stat from, Game 5, I think it was, of the Caps Lightning series?
Oh, no.
Where Ovi played the final... He didn't play the final. He played 4:36 of, like, 4:50 or something. Like, he was on the ice for 4.5 minutes. And then you look at LeBron playing 48. Like, they're like, Ovi had to skate for 4 minutes. Like... I mean, which in hockey is a lot when it's only like a minute to a minute and a half.
Yeah,
you know?
And like all those pads and everything like that, too.
But, yeah, that was a funny comment, yeah. Just the fact. But, yeah.
That's all sad about LeBron, where he, like, outscored the rest of his entire starting 5. He's outscored the rest of his starting 5 times in the playoffs this year.
That's insane.
He's outscored 4 players by himself.
Yeah.
He's the leader in points, blocks, assists, rebounds, steals.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah, sounds about right.
How they have that bad of a team? Yeah. Like, the rest of the team's that bad.
I'm still not, like, completely sold on the Celtics, though.
I'm not either.
Because they got to play in Cleveland, where they've only won 1 road game these playoffs. And then I mean, Game 7 goes back to Boston, but then it's Game 7. Like, look how many times Game 7 just anything happened, you know, like, in all sports.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not completely sold. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I'm also like... And then the Western Conference is doing... It's a pretty even series.
Yeah, it's 2-2 right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, if Houston and Boston win, I can tell you right now, it's like not like people are not going to be excited to watch that finals. No matter how much you don't like seeing LeBron against
you either
want
to see him win or you hate him so much you want to see him lose.
Yeah. Like you don't want that finals. You don't want a Boston-Houston finals.
No.
It's not going to be exciting to watch. I can tell you that right now. Like, as much as, like, people are like, oh, man, we really got to see, we got to see the Golden State Warriors against LeBron again. I'm like, yeah, would you want to see anything else? Like, that's the best team versus the best player in the league. Like, why would you not want to see that? Like, that, like, I know NBA is scared that could happen.
Yeah,
I would be, because, like, you're not gonna get the kind of viewership that you think you are. You're not gonna, that's gonna lead to less revenue.
Yeah, like as a super casual basketball fan, I'm not a big fan of seeing the same final. 4 years in a row. It would be 4 years.
4th year in a row, yes.
So, but I'm definitely in the minority because you're looking at the overall NBA fan base,
right?
And of course you're gonna watch, like you said, like. Why wouldn't you? Like,
because
you want to watch Boston without their 2 best players?
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point.
Harden,
like, if it was Boston with still like Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving, then I think you could get more people behind that series. Yeah. But you're going in with names like Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart and Marcus Morris. You're not gonna get people as excited about that. I mean, as for as much people, I mean, you figure James Harden's going to be MVP. You want a lot of people want to see Chris Paul make it this far into the finals and finally get a championship ring. But like, it just won't be as exciting of a series to watch. But that's just my 2 cents.
No, that's true. Oh, we might have a Triple Crown winner.
And we could have a Triple Crown winner.
Yeah.
Justified. Next week we'll figure that out.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks from the recording, so probably a week from when this gets released. June 9th. So 2 weeks from This Saturday. 2 weeks from 2 days from now.
All right, I got you. I thought it was the 5th for some reason. I guess that doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Well, I think they do an extra week.
Okay,
because Kentucky Derby and Preakness are 2 weeks.
2 weeks apart.
But then Preakness and Belmont is 3. Yeah. It's actually my brother's birthday. So.
All right.
Yep. Yeah, we've gone the distance. All right, so that has been a lot in this episode. Let us know what you think. Like, comment. You could be our 3rd comment. Technically 2nd because the first one just spam. Unless you count Scott Hansen. But yeah, get on. Like, comment, share. Do the things you're supposed to do on the YouTubes. And squad out.